Hey everybody, my name is M.Gonzalez, and this is going to be my analysis on UCR and NIBRS information management systems. So in this presentation, we're going to cover four elements. We're going to discover what UCR is, also what is NIBRS, the differences between both reporting and information management systems, and also the benefits for law enforcement and how this contributes to the overall benefit for our communities. So what is the UCR reporting system? So the UCR reporting system stands for Uniform Crime Reporting System. So essentially what this is an information management system where local law enforcement agencies like municipal departments or sheriff's departments will submit their data on select crimes, also known as index crimes. And these can include murders, rapes, grand theft autos, burglaries, and thefts. So these get sent to the UCR reporting system so this data can be collected, right? And their primary focus is just on the number of cases that are submitted to their system, their clearances, and their arrests. So it's very superficial. They just want to cover these crimes and input them in their database system so they can have a basic graph on the understanding of the crimes that are being committed in these jurisdictions. So what is the NIBRS reporting system? So NIBRS stands for National Incident Based Reporting System. So this is very similar to UCR, however, they're not the same because NIBRS is a more evolved information management system rather than UCR because NIBRS also collects data from crime. However, they also include victim information, also the offenders involved, the relationships that the offenders and the victims had, and also the circumstances surrounding the crime itself. So as we can see, NIBRS is a more comprehensive, in-depth information management system that not only collects the data, but it's also potentially including patterns surrounding the whole incident, and it provides you with the full menu per se, right? Because it's not just listing the one course. This is one analogy, right? But just the one course menu, it's providing you with the full menu of everything that's included in this incident that took place. What are the main differences between both systems? So as I mentioned, both of them, UCR and NIBRS, are very similar, but they're not the same. So UCR, as I mentioned in the beginning, they really focus more on index crimes, right? Such as murder, such as rapes, burglaries, thefts, and so forth. So all they really care about is the superficial information of the crime and not really the details surrounding the crime. So, and this is just for stats purposes per se. NIBRS, on the other hand, they collect everything. They want to include not just the crime itself that occurred, but they also like to collect data involving the victims, the suspects, and also the circumstances around the crime itself. And another key feature that I found, as you may have known, I worked in law enforcement, but prior to being in the position that I was in, I used to actually work in records, and we used to use UCR at the time. So I know a little bit about that back in the day. Now I still keep in touch with the gal in records who runs stats, and she confirmed to me that we still use UCR. We never transitioned to NIBRS, even though NIBRS is way more effective. But one of the main key differences that she also pointed out was that UCR only gets the highest value crime, right? So if there was, let's say an assault, and let's say the domestic violence, we'll do like the domestic violence, which is the higher charge than just a basic assault. In this scenario where maybe multiple crimes occurred with multiple people, they just care about the primary offense. Whereas NIBRS, they want everything involved. So they want the most serious crime and also all the surrounding crimes because you tend to have that in a chaotic scene, right? You can have, let's say, a discharge of a firearm, and you can have an assault, and you can have a assault with a deadly weapon, all occurring in one scenario. So NIBRS can list up to 10 offenses per incident. because multiple crimes can happen at one scene. So this is one of the differences between NIBRS and UCR. And also, as I mentioned earlier, UCR just covers the basic information. They don't really proactively collect victim information or suspect. However, NIBRS does fill the gaps between the victims, suspects, relationships, correlations between the parties involved, which is also a key difference in attention to detail of NIBRS versus UCR. So, what are the benefits for law enforcement agencies and our communities? So, of course, right off the bat, it's going to be improved data quality, right? Because now you have all the information provided into one single database. And not only do you have the element of the crime that occurred, you have also victim information and you have suspect information, the relationships, correlations between all parties involved, and this can help create patterns between possible crimes that are going to occur in the future. And I think this is very prevalent, especially like in homicides involving gangs or shootings involving gang members. This could really help identify, possible, suspects, victims, different, possible correlations between other shootings that have occurred or going to occur. You can kind of pinpoint both of them. If you see all occurring on, let's say, a west side of the city, you can kind of identify that, okay, we can narrow it down to who are the people involved, and this is why this is occurring. So there's a lot less time spending, man hours on trying to link these crimes because everything's kind of placed in this full picture information, for everybody to view. So you're able to grab what you need with the information provided, and that, of course, that goes hand in hand with the crime analysis. My department has a couple crime analysts, who do very well in linking these crimes together. So I think NIBRS would be very beneficial because they're able to strategize, shootings or assaults, or even, recently we had a lot of these smash and grabs. Of course, they're not very common here in the Inland Empire, but you see a lot of that in Los Angeles. We had a couple that did occur in our city, and that actually helped capture these suspects, by linking them to the different locations, the victims involved. You can kind of see their premeditated state of what they're trying to aim for, and this helps provide that clear picture of the data that's coming through because it has everything. So this helps also allocate resources to the much needed areas, right? Because now you had stat proven, stat driven, a police department that they're able to see where these targeted areas, where affected areas are being hit the most, and you're able to allocate resources such as, let's say, a gang team, smash, or let's say a quality of life team because we need, extra patrol on these specific targeted areas. And because you have a stat driven department and stat proven department, you can also benefit by increasing grants to the department that would help allocate, more resources to the department or equipment. And of course, this all benefits the community because they're able to see the transparency of the crimes that are occurring because they're not just seeing the superficial crime, they're seeing the whole picture. And they're able also to be more involved and help out where they can by, reporting something suspicious, or of course, taking the right measures to prevent this crime and exposing it so other neighboring cities can also see the ongoing issues and they can take preventative measures as well. And overall, this would increase the public safety for the community members as they're seeing the active progression of the police departments because now they're not only being reactive to the problem, they're also taking preventative measures. And below, I have provided the references that I used for this slideshow. I also wanted to give a shout out to my department in the stats unit. They didn't want to be named, so I just wanted to at least give them credit for the information that they provided for this presentation. And this concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.